All right, Debbie-Jo, thank you so much for being here today.
I am so grateful that you reached out and asked because this is going to be a blast. I
It's going to be
love
a blast.
talking to people.
Yeah, I'll just tell the listeners that like as we're getting on, what I thought the direction was we were going to go today, turns out I have learned things about Debbie-Jo in the last 2 minutes. I'm like, well, now I have all sorts of questions for you. So let's just start a little get to know you. Tell us about yourself, where you're at in the world, what kind of work you do, and like, kind of the why behind it. What got you into it? Why do you do what you do?
Okay, so I'm going to go way back,
Okay.
but I'll make it brief.
Uh-huh.
I've always been an entrepreneur. At the age of 2, I sold painted rocks by the side of the road way before pet rocks were a thing. So I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but I also have always had this fight in my head of being super organized and can follow like rules and regulations. And then this rebellious side that goes, heck no, I don't want to be doing all of that. Extremely creative, but also very much down to earth because I grew up on a farm. So you can't get much closer to the earth than that. And so, kind of like trying to reconcile those two things, I've always wanted to help people. I feel like that is at my core what I'm here to do is to help make people better. And that making them better can be helping them to understand their books and their records and all the things they have to do for taxes, but also in taking the best care of themselves. I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn this off and it won't go off. Um, and so just really helping people to understand that we're not cut out of the same cloth. We're not even the same on the inside of ourselves. Like as we grow and expand and we expand our mindset, we can be anything we want to be. You just have to make the decision and go for it.
Okay, so let's go there because when you were coming on, I was laughing when Debbie-Jo came into the room because the profile pic said, "I like my products like I like my people, non-toxic." I was like, "Well, you what? Tell me everything." And so then I learned about the advantages to aging side of you that I didn't know. I knew you were a CPA. I didn't know about this other side, and so. I think that dovetails nicely when you say we can be anything. We don't have to put ourselves in a box. So tell us about you have two businesses, or maybe there are more. I know you have at least two.
I
So
think I'm down to two.
okay, yeah, yeah. So tell us about the two.
Okay, so I have been a CPA or in the accounting field for 50 years. That always hurts when I say that. so
Like
50
you're
years,
bracing
I'm like,
yourself. I am not. I'm like, okay. So you started when you
wow.
were two in CPA as well. That's amazing. Rocks and taxes. Great. Uh-huh.
But it's always been, like not just like most accountants work crazy hours. There's no work life balance. And, I worked for a big eight firm when there was a big eight firm. And there's no life balance. Like I was a single mom and I'm like, no, 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 there's got to be a better way. And so when I started my CPA practice, I thought, you know what? I understand that the bulk of our work gets done during tax season, but there is no reason to chain someone to their desk, make them work 10 to 15 hours and expect them to actually give quality work and speak nicely to their clients. So I'm really all about helping people to really understand their finances, understand their financials, because a lot of people have no idea. Like they look at their bank account, like they want to know how much money do I have, not how did I make it? Am I making a profit? Any of that. So we really take the time to talk in a way that I'm not spouting tax code to you. We're talking down and dirty. What is it that you need to do and what you need to understand in order to make your life better and help you achieve your goals for your business, for your life. And so working full time for me means that you work 4 8-hour days. We do not work overtime during tax season, even because Jessica, I don't know about you, but I do not want somebody preparing my tax return when they've had no sleep for 3 days.
Preach. Yeah. Same. Samesies. Let's all stay out of federal prison, shall we? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because you know they're making mistakes.
Yeah.
And what's worse is a lot of firms would have you prepare and review your own work. Hello, how do you catch your mistakes? Like if you don't know
Like editing
something
your
the
own
first
book.
time
Like,
you
no, you need
prepared it.
fresh eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So
Uh-huh.
that's what we're, really all about is helping to create that work-life balance. And to us, communication is right up there with accuracy and ethics. Like
Mm.
we want internal communication and external communication. And I'll throw another little business that I no longer do, but I also incorporate it in the work that I do as your accountant and business advisor. Is I have a master's degree in global organizational leadership, so I'm all about personal and professional development. So like,
Uh,
how do you become a better person? How do you become a better leader or a better manager? And so to me, it just kind of like that all fits right along with skincare because it's all about
yeah. And
education.
obviously that goes with
Yes.
skincare.
Doesn't it? I mean, like to me, that makes sense.
Yeah, tell me. I think I spoke over you. You said it makes so much sense. All of this goes with skincare because
Because it's all about making right choices, right?
uh-huh.
So feeding your soul, feeding your body, which affects everything else, using products that are clean, not toxic. And you want to deal with people who are clean and not toxic. So to me, it's like it makes perfect sense.
This makes perfect sense to me. And listen, I love this. I had a guest on like hundreds of episodes ago probably, and she said something like on her website. It was like there were multiple columns kind of what she did. And she also was a creative and also a business owner and also had just a multitude of a yoga teacher and then also an executive. There were all these things. And she said, when I would find myself wanting to put myself in a box, I just thought, why not just make another column?
Exactly.
Yeah, and like what you're saying, you remind me of her. You're like, yeah, I'm a CPS. No, not a CPS, not Child
Yes, I'm
Protective
not a
Services.
CPS.
A CPS. Different
I
acronyms.
don't even know half. Thank
CPA.
you.
Yeah, and you're like, this all makes sense. And because the through line, right, and all of that is helping people maximize their experience, lean into their potential, explore themselves and their highest, parts of themselves, their growth edges, all of that. So in my mind,
Yeah.
makes total sense. Feed your
Yeah.
soul, feed your body, be a
Yes.
better
And nobody
person, all
wants
that.
to get put in a box.
Nobody
Like, so
does.
why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah. I mean, we
Like,
do. We
I
could
don't like
answer
it
that
when
question.
somebody
We
tries to
do
do that.
fear, rules. Yeah. So what do you
Yeah.
say to the person who maybe is listening, who is maybe in a box of sorts, but can feel kind of the tug towards something else? What do you say to that person to say, here's how you can take a little step towards that?
Yeah. So that is an excellent question. So most people find themselves in a box without knowing how they got there,
Mm.
right? Because society tells us when we are real little and we dream these huge dreams, oh, be reasonable. Oh, don't shoot so high. Like you're gonna not reach your goals. If you're reaching your goals, you're not stretching yourself. You're not learning what your potential is. And so I would tell that person the first thing you need to do is start to really get into some really good books about personal development. And I'll tell you a really, really great one to start with is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson,
The
because it
Slight
talks
Edge by
about
who? Jeff
Jeff Olson.
Olson. Okay. Make sure to
Yes,
put that in the show notes.
because what that helps you to do is it's about those little tiny decisions that we make in almost every single moment of our life, that in the moment of making them, it seems like it doesn't make a difference at all. Like if I decide that I'm not going to have that fast food meal and I'm going to settle for a salad, you might, like the scale's not going to show me anything in that moment of making that decision, but my heart is totally going to be thankful because I'm not putting extra strain on it. And if I make those simple decisions that are on the right side of the curve, helping me to grow and become better rather than doing the same old thing and making my life worse and my body not as healthy. Over time, it's going to be a huge difference. So I would say if you're stuck in a box, one, know that you don't have to stay there.
Mhm.
I think that's the first thing we need to know is that, and you might not believe it. If you've been really tamped down, you don't think that you have the ability. I'm going to tell you, if you want, you can borrow my belief. All you need to believe is that it is possible. Not that it will definitely happen, that it's possible. And when you believe that anything is possible, things will happen in such an amazing way that you would never, ever, ever have dared to even dream about. And it's going to become an everyday occurrence.
Okay. Yes. As a mindset coach, obviously, I'm jumping up and down. We're all about belief here. Even the phrase you use, you can borrow my belief. I tell my clients that all the time. You can borrow my belief. So I would love to hear an example. Like, tell us about something from your life where you dared to believe, you dared to lean into the possibility, and like you said, things that will happen in an amazing way that you never even dared to dream of. Tell us about a time like
Yes.
that in your life.
Okay, I don't have to go back that far.
Okay.
Don't have to go back to two. I decided, so 6 years ago, I sold my tax book of business because I was totally burnt out, and there was a bunch of things that had happened in my life. I lost my husband to cancer, and my son was diagnosed with cancer at the same time, and just like all the stressors, more than you could ever possibly imagine, all kind of hit within a very small time frame. Like from the diagnosis of my late husband till his death was not even a year. Like it all very rapidly unfolded, and so I just like, okay, enough is enough. Anyways, fast forward, I'm over those 6 years, I'm constantly hearing people say, like, my bookkeeper doesn't talk to me, my accountant's sending me information I don't understand, and they won't let me, like I'll ask questions. I hear nothing, I hear crickets. Like, is that the way it's supposed to be? And so I decided in the second week of January of 2024, so not that long ago, I'm going to re-enter the tax practice. I still was doing a little bit of bookkeeping on the side. And so I made the announcement that I was going to reopen my tax practice, and 2/3 of my clients came back to me at once. So here it was, just me thinking I was going to work part-time the second week of January, and boom, I was like, okay. But I also had made the decision that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it differently. So I went in with the goal. So like if it doesn't scare the crap out of you, then you're not thinking big enough. I decided that I am going to change the industry, not just my practice, the entire industry, because there is no reason for burnout. There is no reason. There is plenty of students that are graduating with accounting degrees that are choosing to not go into public accounting because they don't want to be burnt out like every other CPA that they know. So they'll go into private practice, or not private practice because that's still public accounting, but like they'll go into um, the accounting department of some large corporation, or even a mom and pop, where they're not the one that's putting the outward face of, I'm filing the tax returns, I'm doing the bookkeeping, I'm doing the financial, the audits, all of those. So because it is not in the normal, and I use that very, very loosely, the normal situation is most public CPAs, their burnout rate is as high, if not higher, than the medical field. Because
I didn't
during
know that.
tax season, you are working anywhere from 50, which is very, very low, to 120 hours a week. Like, can you imagine having 3 full-time jobs,
No.
even for a month? And we do it from January 1st until April 15th. Or if you're in my situation, it goes to June 15th because I also do international tax. So if you're an expat, you have until June 15th to file your tax return. So that's 6 months. And then if you have people on extension, they're due, I just passed to the corporate deadline of September 15th. And then October 15th, if you had any of those expats that had to go on extension, then we're at December 15th, when, oh, there's year-end tax planning because we have to get ready for next tax season. And it just like goes and goes and goes. And I was like, you know what? Even in my practice before, I don't want you working on my tax return, never mind any of my clients, if you haven't slept well,
Right.
if you're feeling guilty because you've missed your kid's soccer game and it was the one and only time they made the winning goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care if you're a mom or a dad or even an aunt, like you shouldn't miss those. There
Yeah.
are rare moments. And that's what life is about, is those rare moments. So I said, if I'm going to reopen this tax practice, we will not only will we not work 40 hours a week, but full time for my firm is 4 8-hour days. So right off the bat, you have 52 days off in the year because you're working 4 days, not 5. If you happen to need to have times where you're working at night or you're working, like a half a day on the weekend, you take the time off somewhere else, 32 hours. I do not want you working and missing things and not having that work-life balance, because no one in the history of everything and everyone has then someone drawn their last breath and said, oh, I wish I worked longer.
Yeah.
Nobody says that. Everybody says, oh, I wish I had, spent more time with my family, or maybe if I had done this, I wouldn't have gotten sick, or I want you to take care of you because you can't take care of our clients if you're not well.
Yeah.
So to me, it's really about, really taking good care of our people. So we all work remotely.
Love that.
Gives you a lot more flexibility.
Mhm.
Um, our benefit plan really looks at not just giving you whatever the major, the minor coverages that we pay 80% of health, dental, vision. You get paid time off on top of the 52 days you already get. And you might not, celebrate the same holidays that I do. Pick 5 of your own.
I'm not even a CPA. I want to be one just so I can come work for you, Debbi-Jo. Like everyone listening is like, this is the best ad ever for like if you are looking for people, everyone sign on up for Debbi-Jo right now.
And we are hiring.
Listen, okay, if you are listening and you are a CPA, you get going. So,
Oh, you
because
don't even have to be a CPA.
oh,
So CPA would be definitely, like at the top of the list right now. I really, really, really need a tax manager. But even if you're a bookkeeper, or you want to apply to our internship program because you're a senior in college with a degree in accounting or finance, it's definitely something. And we haven't launched our attest functions, which is audits and reviews for those that don't speak CPA language.
yeah, uh-huh.
We haven't launched that yet, but it's coming. So send your resume in if you want us to be hanging on to it for when we
Yeah,
launch that.
everyone's running right now, Debbie. Everyone's running. Because what you're talking about, like, we talk there's so much talk about work-life balance, but to actually take it from theoretical, hypothetical, and to apply it, there's often a chasm. And so, how do you make that work? I mean, for people who are leaders listening to this and who are business owners, and they're thinking about the dollars and cents behind this, and how do you make something like that work from the human perspective and also from the bottom line, keeping us in the black perspective?
Yeah, really interesting question, because that was like, I also have a business advisory board that I put in place. I'm not a corporation, but I put that in place because I don't see everything, and I want people from different walks of life to give me feedback on this. And that was one of the big concerns, was like, are you going to make any money? So I was like, well, in the past, we were higher in our bottom line than everybody else, and our profit margins were even higher. Jessica, let me ask you a question.
To
If
it.
someone treats you really well and someone helps you to fulfill your work-life balance goals, are you going to not give them 100%?
Right. No, you're gonna give them like 100. You're gonna give all. You're gonna the high
You're going to
quality.
give as much as you've got and then some.
Yeah.
And we had a situation where we needed some extra hours because we had a client who was in a really tough position and we had a major deadline. And I said, look, this is not part of our structure or anything, but because I haven't hired this person that we so badly need, if anyone is willing to work some extra hours, I'll definitely pay you for it. But in addition to that, you can take those hours
Yeah.
somewhere else. And my entire staff pitched in.
Yeah. Well, and also again, as a mindset coach, I can't help but think the thoughts, the mindset, the framework that the employees and your staff and your team is going to be coming from is going to make the number of hours feel very different. When the thought is, I'm just a widget, I'm just a cog in the wheel, they don't care about me, I'm just a number, I'm just here as a work mule, the hours that they're working going to feel very different. You can work some
Yes, I
similar
totally agree.
hours when you know, like, they care about me. I'm contributing to something that matters. I'm being taken care of. They're looking out for my best interest. This is a group that I want to be part of. Those thoughts are going to make the work feel very different.
Yep. Not only that, but like that client has thanked me and thanked my entire staff multiple times since Monday, like
Mm-hmm.
multiple times. He did not think that this was going to happen. We weren't going to get him filed in time. And I mean, it went in at 9:38 p.m., but it went in and he is every single day. He thanked us that night. He
Yeah.
thanked us the following morning. He thanked us again today. And the reality is, when I look at, because I'm also now a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business. So, like, if you don't know what that is, it's like getting a master's degree in 13 weeks. It is not for the faint of heart. And
Uh,
it's really helping you to focus on growing your business. So, working on your business and not in your business. And so I kind of knew where we were, but I didn't know the exact numbers. So most accounting firms, if you're doing really well, your profit margin is somewhere between 15 and 22%.
okay.
Ours is 45%. Tell
Shut
me
the
there's
front
no
door.
difference.
So good. You're like, this is when the cold, hard numbers even. Yeah.
Yes.
So if we go
Yes.
back
And
to your
and I
goal,
even had you will appreciate this. Like,
yeah.
so I spent so much time on our culture.
Uh-huh.
Like, culture to me is the starting point of everything. If you have a bad culture, you're not going to keep good people in. And the culture, your your philosophy, it attracts those of similar and it
Hmm.
repels people who are not.
Yeah.
And so I spent so much time on building our culture that some of my board members were even like you're spending too much time on culture, you're paying your people too much, you've got too many employee benefits, you really need to pull back. And I'm like, 45% is after paying all those things, by the way. so
Yeah.
so it's like, no, because what I'm finding too, and it's funny because I have one of my employees getting a little bit nervous because um, there are three clients. So we've been in business for not even quite 2 years. There's only three. There's a third client that's leaving us, and she's all upset. And I was like, no, 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 no. One, it's making room for someone who really gets it.
Mm.
And the two that have left, one actually closed the doors. They closed, and that's why they left. So there's only one other, but our philosophies were like the opposite ends. And so it wasn't a good fit. And I'm being super careful about like who we take in as clients, even with advantages to aging. I don't want to work with people who are going to be constantly saying, well, I can go to CVS, a drug, local drugstore, and get it for $10 and you're charging $100. And like, you look at the ingredients of that $10 one versus what you're getting for the 100, which should be 1,000, by the way. And it's that same philosophy It's like you attract what you are.
Mm.
Like, so if you are attracting people that are not so good, stop doing that self-help work. That's
She's
selling
like,
yourself
go
because
back to that book, get you a life coach. Yeah. So this is
yeah.
an ad for your people. It's an ad for me. Get you a life coach. Because listen, here's what I want to underline in what you're saying is this approach that you're talking about. This is the approach to all relationships, to our whole life. I mean, this is to dating, to the
Yes.
friendships that we have, to the teams that we build in our businesses, to our partnerships, all of that, that the scarcity mindset is like we'll
Yes.
take whoever we can get,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Versus anchoring into what are my values? What are my beliefs? What are my wants? What are my needs? And when I believe that what is for me is out there, what
Mm-hmm.
is for me is inevitable. When I believe that I can create abundance in my business, in my life, in my love, anchored in who I am, that I don't have to give up parts of who I am to get those things,
Right.
that's a revolution, right? Which takes us back to
Yes.
your whole goal of revolutionizing the industry.
Exactly. And Jessica, that's my favorite word you just used, abundance.
Yeah.
So I am never busy. I am very abundant.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, and I had a mentor said that she said, and this is a woman who had a, $50 million a year business. And she said, I would never say I'm busy. She's like, that just is not in my language. I am doing what is right in front of me, and I welcome the volume, that comes. So I appreciate that anchor that I'm not busy, I'm
Right.
abundant.
Well, because being busy doesn't necessarily do mean that you're doing the right things. It means you're doing a lot of things. When you're
Right.
abundant, you're always doing the right things
Uh-huh.
in an abundant way because you
Yeah.
know that time is a man-made item and that's why so many people can fit so much more into a 24-hour day than other people. It's
Yep.
because of the mindset. And it's, like we're all negatively wired,
Yep.
all of us. And so it takes effort to
Yeah.
not be negatively wired. But the first thing that I always do, and I correct it in my employees, I correct it in my clients, is like, stop using those negative words about that limits you, it limits your employees, it limits your capability. And to speak to that, kind of like reverse a little bit. So last January when I started, so I reopened the doors the second week of January,
Mm-hmm.
and the second week of February my mom got rushed to the hospital. And from February until June, she was in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital, and spent all of June in hospice until she passed away on the 30th. So the entire tax season, it was just me and a 10-hour a week administrative assistant. And I did pretty darn good for all of that happening. So revenue wise, on the 2nd of January, that 10-hour a week admin is now my executive administrative assistant. She works 32 hours. She has an administrative assistant. We have an HR person, and we have a staff accountant and a bookkeeper. The bookkeeper was added in June, but I say all of that. Oh, and now we have an intern as well. I say all that because on March 15th, when I looked at where we were financially, and I wasn't even at the end of tax season yet, we had surpassed my revenue from 2024. Right now, we are on track. Now, I don't want to put this out wrong in the interview. So in the universe. So right now, if nothing else changes, we're on track to do 5 times more, but I'm hoping to do 10
Yeah.
because 10x is
Like,
easier than
why
2x.
stop there? Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a 10x mindset,
Yeah.
rather than just, because a lot of people say, well, I want to double, right? I want to double my
Yeah.
income.
Hmm.
And by being limiting, and you'd go like, oh, Debbi-Jo, what are you talking about? Being limiting, doubling.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks that in order to double their revenue, they have to double their efforts.
Right.
But if you believe that you can 10x your business or 10x your life, 10x your love life, 10x your family, 10x whatever, you get real, right? You say, what's working?
Hmm.
What should I be doing more of? and who should be picking up the slack for everything else.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of that, I insisted that my admin get an admin because she is phenomenal when it comes to managing my schedule, as you probably learned,
Mm-hmm.
managing my schedule, managing me, and being a significant face of our marketing and just like holding the whole thing together. She is actually going to become our COO. She's in training to be our COO as we
Yeah.
continue to grow. So she's learning things like almost every single day about running a business and, you know, whether or not we have the right IT company and do we have the right softwares and the right securities. And sometimes she feels a little over her head, but I was like, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Yeah.
If you're not uncomfortable for a positive reason, not because somebody's knocking you down.
Right. That's so good. Like one of the 6 steps of my freedom formula, I'm all about, people getting free from the prison of an unmanaged mind. And one of the steps is all about the structure that we put in place, right? Having exactly what you were talking about, being able to delegate, being able to have what you're really talking about is leaning into your zone of genius, right? When you're like, this is what is
Yes.
actually my calling, this is my alignment. The other stuff can be delegated. And when that happens, this is why the abundant mindset's required, because if when that happens, trusting that then it 10x, it's going to grow. And I'm trying to, as you were talking, I was thinking about Dr. Benjamin Hardy put out a new book, and it was something like that 10x is easier
10x
than
is easier
2x.
than 2x.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like that sort of thing. She's like, let me grab it off my bookshelf. There you go. Dan Sullivan.
So they also have another really great one, and it's important because like sometimes people read this and it's so far out of their comfort zone that they don't quite get it. So he actually has a book. There's like 3 books in a series. If you're in that not so positive mindset and you kind of need to make that shift, he wrote a really great book that it's called The Gap in the Gain.
Yeah.
So it's about, are you living in the gap versus are you living in the gain? And it's about measuring your goals, not from where you didn't fall, but how far you came. So like, instead of looking forward to the goal and say, oh, I'm so far away from it, you turn around and you look and say, where did I start? Oh my God, that's so far away.
Yeah. Yay me.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
celebrate those.
Yeah.
The other really good book, and this is one that I'm really like hammering into my, not only my Goldman Sachs cohort, but also my staff. It's called Who, Not How.
Yeah.
So who is going to help me get there? Not how am I going to get there?
Mhm.
Like, I don't care how I get 10x.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't, but I know I'm going to get there with the right who's.
Uh-huh. Well, listen, Debbi-Jo, not just Debbie, just Debbi-Jo. I have a book that's coming out on Monday. Yeah. So people are going to hear this way after the book has launched. But one of the sections I talk about the who before the how. And and I want to bring this up because there's the internal and the external who before the how, right?
Mm-hmm.
The who do I need to have in place from the support and the network and the people, and then also the who do I
Do
need to
I need to
become?
be?
Right? Like
Yes.
I imagine the same for like when I talk about goals and goal cultivation, I'm like, this is a spiritual practice, right? Because it is about who am I going to become in the process of doing this, right? This is about
Yes.
leaning into your future self. When I set this goal
Yes.
to revolutionize, mine when I was a kid was to revolutionize the prison systems of America. Now it's to revolutionize the minds, right? And yours, like your goal is to revolutionize the accounting industry. The goal, it's that benchmark of the goal, that's just an arbitrary thing. The really exciting stuff is what nooks and crannies of me am I going to explore, right? What's going to be highlighted? What gifts and talents did I not even know that I had that I'm going to have to pull on, right? To get where I'm
Yes.
going. Yeah, clearly I get excited. I'm going to start preaching. We're just
Yes.
going to get up on the
You
pulpit for a
preach, girl.
minute.
You preach.
Yeah, it's so important, right?
It
Not
is.
because we will not take action if we get jammed up on the how.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of leans into too, you had mentioned that I've always had multiple businesses, and
Yeah.
a lot of people will say, and especially like even life coaches will say, well, you know, you can't be focused when you're dividing your focus.
Yeah.
And I push back on that because especially where like accounting is very straight laced. And I'll tell a quick story. Nobody ever believed that I was the CPA. I gave testimony in Congress, and people would like, I'd be at, like at dinner or whatever, and they say, well, you're so much fun. What do you do for a living? I'm a CPA. And they'd laugh and say, no, really, what do you do? And I'm like, no, really, I am a CPA. So I had to start carrying my CPA license with me to prove it.
Right on your name tag. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So it's like, okay. But having that other business and having to help people in a totally different way, and learning about the science and just about the holistic whole thing is like, it stretches your mind, right? You can't grow if you've got blinders on and you're always looking at the same thing. To me, having two different businesses in very different spheres opens my mindset.
Yeah.
I see things differently because I can focus and narrow in on the numbers, but then I can push it way out because like I have that leadership background. I have the holistic health. I have all those things. And so I can help my clients, whether they're in my accounting firm or they're in my advantages to aging and they're looking at, like aging as being a bad thing. Well, it's better than being dead.
The alternative, right? Friends.
Like, yeah, that's the only alternative. It's not about like looking younger, although hell, I want to be that. Like,
we'll take that also.
Rich and hot at the same time. Yes, please.
Yeah. Why not?
But it's about really helping you to expand what's possible.
Yeah. And seeing what you're hitting on too is also seeing yourself. Like some people use it against. I have a client that she is going to listen to this podcast episode because she will weaponize it against herself that there's this really creative side of her, like you're talking about. And then there's the very linear thinking side of her. And I was like, have we read the book, How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci? I mean, he was literally an artist and like a mathematician, scientist. He was just leveraging both sides of his brain. And to your point, sometimes we run the risk of seeing our strengths as liabilities.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, no, I have to be focused. I have to constrain. And now there are times I talk about constraining to something in the moment that you're doing it can be really helpful, right? Constraint has its place, but not when you're using it against your desire, right? Like desire is such
and
a
even
powerful
if you're trying to,
exactly.
And even if you're trying to like brainstorm something, you don't want to be focused. Like if you're trying to brainstorm some potential solutions or even like what other services or products you could be doing, you need to get really creative and you like throw every single ridiculous thing out there because the more you do that, the more you're telling your brain, hey, I really need to focus, even though I'm not focused. I need to find the solution. So your brain goes, I'm finally free. I can like do all of these multitasking things, which only our brain can do. And that's why sometimes like you'll be driving somewhere and you might not even remember how you got there. But when you get there, you go like, oh my God, I have the answer.
Yep. Yeah.
Or you wake up with it, or you dream about it, or you suddenly think about it in the shower, is because you've given your brain permission to go to work and not hold anything back.
Yeah, that's so good. And I want to make sure people are understand this because again, in my job, I'm always teaching people how to supervise the brain, right? How to supervise it and how to direct it on purpose. And that's what you're talking about is learning how to work with your brain when we're coming up with stuff. And you're like, if you are trying to figure out the how and the probability and the possibility while you're brainstorming, that's when you're like, I don't know. I don't know. We run into that wall of I don't know. Like, no, you have to separate out the ideation, the innovation from the plan and how to. And you're hitting on the point that what happens unconsciously when you're in the shower is you're not telling your brain, we have to find there's one right way to do this and we have to find it and we have to find it as quick as possible, right? No, you're like permission to be wide open spaces in there. And then your brain's like, oh, I got you. Like your brain will work. Your brain can be like a toddler with a knife. Like if you're not picking, but it will work for you when you direct it. And I always think
Yeah.
it's wild. It's like the same brain that tells you you can't and all these terrible things. I shared in a talk recently that I was going to be sharing the stage with this woman who I was like, what in the universal joke is this that I am going to be on stage with her? Who am I to share the stage with this? My head just legend, right? And my brain, who are you to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And I, as a life coach, said to my brain, okay, tell me, who am I to share this stage with this woman? And it was like, blah, 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 all of these things that were qualifying me for it. So the same
Right.
brain that is dismissing you and disqualifying you, seeing all the reasons why not, will also show you all of the reasons why if you give it the right environment, which is what you're talking about. So when you
Right.
are brainstorming, that's when you're permission to play. Give it, I love to be like, give me the worst and garbage thing that you can come up with so that when it gives you a garbage thing, you're like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Give me the impossible goals. Give me the ridiculousness. Give me, yeah, that's how we
Yeah.
can work on our own team. Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm gonna ask you a question. When you were talking earlier about, stretching your mind and catching on to those places, why I think the language you use was limiting beliefs and the stuff that kind of holds you back. What are the practices that you use where you are bringing awareness to that so that you're catching it and it's not just running in the background, actually running your life, but you can see, we're up to something here and you can catch it and redirect. What kind of practices do you use?
So I had this amazing woman who I was like having one of it was supposed to be, like tell me all of your fears, da, 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 all this stuff. And I mean, if you give your brain permission to come up with that stuff, it is scary stuff it comes up with. And she was like, okay, so I'm gonna suggest that instead of you focusing on all of that, I'm gonna ask you to ask your brain this: what if all of these things didn't take place? Not how good could it be, but how great could it be? Because if you say how good, typically we'll just stop at what's good.
Huh.
But how great can this be? Like, girl, I am
Yeah.
growing a regional size firm without geographic boundaries that is going to top $100 million.
Let's go. Yeah. How
That's how
great can
great
it
it can
be?
be.
Yeah. That's so fine.
And
Permission
then your
to
brain,
dream
and
big.
then your
Yeah.
brain will say, oh no, that's not great. You want great? I'll give you
Hold,
more.
yeah. Hold my beer. Yeah. Level up. Level up. Oh, this is
Yeah,
so good. This is what's possible when we give ourselves permission to hang out over the edge of the comfort zone. Letting
yeah,
yourself believe bigger, letting yourself go bigger, letting yourself play outside of what the conditioning might tell you what is possible. That's
exactly.
amazing. Okay. Well, listen, I obviously could talk to you for 6 days and keep you here all day, all night, but I will respect your time. And before I ask you my very last question, Debbie-Jo, please tell the listeners how the best way to connect with you and the various kinds of things you're doing out in the world. Where's the best way to follow you?
Okay, so on most social media, I am DJ Horton.
Okay.
But if you're, don't find me under DJ Horton. It's Debbi-Jo, Debbi hyphen Jo. So there's no E after the I. And sometimes the hyphen's not there. Depends on what platform, whether they allow a hyphen or not. um, or just DJ Horton at DJ Horton and Associates.com.
Okay. Amazing. We'll make sure
And if
all.
you're interested in all of the health, the aging, anti-aging stuff, not aging, not anti-aging, but aging gracefully, check out Advantages to Aging. And you can find the website by that name, advantagesteaging.com, with a
Amazing.
podcast and a blog and all of the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're just such a delight. It's like whatever it is you're doing, Debbie-Jo, we want to just follow along. It doesn't matter. Aging gracefully, like lining up sticks, whatever you're doing, Debbie-Jo, we just want to follow along and see whatever it is we know you're going to do it epic. So we love to, yeah, let's all go follow the Debbie-Jo. So for my very last question that I like to ask all my guests, what does it mean to you to live an unblocked life?
A lot of people would say the sky's the limit, but why stop there? Think bigger. Think bigger than you've ever allowed yourself to think, because there's a very big universe out there. And from what I understand, there are multiple universes. So don't stop at the sky.
Yeah, so fun. Thank you so much, Debbie-Jo. Thank you for your time. This was such a delight. This is cup filling for me. I hope the listeners got just as much from this that as I did. So I really appreciate your time and you being here today.
I appreciate you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.